We all love Seiko divers, period. If you don't love Seiko divers, you just haven't found one that speaks to you yet. Trust me, even with my skinny wrist, I found some amazing Seiko divers. And while I've previously mentioned the Seiko Slim Turtle as the best Seiko diver for small wrists, it's difficult to resist the charm of a mid-size case, that being a 38mm. Today I have three of the most popular Seiko 38mm divers, and we're going to try to find out which one is the best, if that's even possible. Let's jump right into it. First up, we've got the OG Seiko value for money, value proposition, tool watch through and through, and one of the kings of custom mods. The Seiko SKX013 come in at closer to 37mm. You used to be able to buy these for $200 and you could easily call it quits, and be happy with your ISO certified diver with its jingly jangly jubilee. And let's not forget about the legendary 7S26 movement, which you probably won't need to service for the next decade at least. Oh, and if you don't like the regular black bezel, you could get a faded ghost bezel like me. Don't like the hardlex, replace it with a dome sapphire crystal. Want an oyster bracelet? You name it. The Seiko SKX013 and its older brother the 007 and the 009 are the kings of modding, and each a legend in their own right. Then we have the Solar Prospect Divers, the SNE series, which comes in at 38.5mm, which was released late 2021. While it's not a direct replacement of the SKX013, it's arguably its closest competition in the modern Seiko catalog. It's ISO certified 200-meter water resistance, screw-down crown, great lume, and it even has a sapphire crystal. But of course, the elephant in the room, it's solar, and it's not exactly Seiko affordable. Not anymore anyways. It's closer to $500 retail, although you can buy these much less on the grey market. And the other elephant in the room, it's missing a huge chunk of the Seiko charm. And if you haven't already noticed, it kinda looks like the Submariner. So I suppose you win some and you lose some. And finally, we have the Seiko SRPK series, which is technically the SKX013 replacement because, well, they look exactly the same. It got a lot of bad rep when it was first released, and I do partially get the complaints. No screw down crown, only 100-meter water resistance, not ISO certified, and definitely not a value proposition that the SKX once was. But in saying all that, it's way more comfortable than the SKX013. The wearing experience is easily 10 times of that. And at least with the Snoopy here, it's fun. But really, that's about it. You win a little and you lose basically everything that made a Seiko diver special. However, it's not a bad watch at all. Now, the battle. It's gonna be a triple threat match and the winner will walk away as the 38mm Seiko diver champion. There are 5 categories up for grabs, each worth 1 point. The rule is I have to choose one winner for each category. There's no splitting points, I have to choose one winner. The watch with the most point wins, simple enough. And the 5 categories are comfort, build quality, durability, looks and aesthetics, price and overall package. And finally, my pick of the bunch, but that's not worth any points. I can eliminate the SKX013 right off the bat because it wears way too chunky and extremely top heavy. I can't wear it for long periods as my wrist will be fatigued only after a couple of hours. So the battle's between the SNE and the SRPK. At 38.5mm case diameter, only 10mm thin and roughly 47mm lug to lug, the SNE573 is pretty comfortable. It's thin, sits nice and flat on my wrist. However, the lugs are quite thick and chunky. And while it's only 47mm, the lugs extend straight outwards, which is at the border of my comfort zone. It's a little more chunky than what the dimensions suggest on paper. Next up, at 38mm, 12mm thick, and 44mm lug to lug, the SRPK is an amazing wear on smaller wrists. The case is at a much more refined version of the SKX013, being slimmer, rounded edges, and overall much less of a hockey puck on the wrist. It sits just right, and with the Uncle Seiko Presidential Jubilee bracelet, it's one of the most comfortable Seiko divers I've experienced. The most important thing is that I can wear it loose, and it won't be tiring on the wrist after a whole day. So you've guessed it, the SRPK wins the comfort category. For me, build quality is all about how well made the watch feels on wrist and on hand. For the sake of this comparison, we're going to ignore all the bracelets because none of them are very good. Right off the bat, we can eliminate the Snoopy because let's be real, compared to the competition, it does feel like a toy. That's not to say it isn't well built, but it's a lot less substantial than the Solar Diver and the SKX. It's just not up to their level. So we're really between the SKX and the SNE, which to be completely honest are neck and neck in terms of build. Both are 200-meter ISO rated divers, screw down crown, 2 watches that means business. And ideally I'd split the point in half, but there is a winner. And that's the SNE569. Purely because it does feel slightly more refined than the SKX, and more importantly it has a sapphire crystal. In comparison, the SKX seems a little bit more rough and tough, whereas the SNE is built to a higher quality overall. In saying all that, the SKX isn't far off at all. 1 point for the SNE. Unlike build quality, durability refers to how tough the watch is, and how likely is it to survive a lifetime of abuse, and potentially even a zombie apocalypse. How many years can you go without a service? Do you even need to care about a service? And this one's rather easy. The clear winner is going to be the SKX013. The 013 will simply not die. It has a proven track record of going years and years without any issues. Nobody ever services the legendary 7S26 movement. The entire watch is tough as nails, thick and chunky, and will take a beating like nobody's business. Seriously, I've seen so many 013s that are 20 years old that just looks amazing for their age. This is an easy point for the SKX013. There's not even a need to discuss the SNE or the Snoopy. So at this point, we're going to be all tied up at 1 point each. For the sake of this comparison, the Snoopy is magically turned into the normal black SRPK, which really is a derivative of the SKX013, so naturally, it's eliminated. Once again, it's down to the SKX and the SNE. And it's really a matter of preference here, but there is a true winner. The SNE is a really nice looking diver, so nice that it heavily reminds me of the Submariner. Sure, it has unique characteristics like the handset, the lack of a Cyclops, the chamfered edges of the case, and maybe the bezel looks a little different. Really, it's not much of a secret where the SNE draws its inspiration from, which is no bad thing. If you're into Submariner style watches, the SNE can easily win this category. But for me, the clear winner is the SKX013. Both the 013 and its older brothers, the 07 and the 009, dominated the affordable diver market for the past 2 decades. And it's not just because it's affordable, it's also such a great looking watch. In an extremely saturated divers market, the SKX013 is distinctively Seiko. The large white lume plots, divers 200 meter orange text, the date, 4 o'clock crown. It gets my vote for the aesthetics category easily. The SKX leads 2-1 and 1. The SRPK29 non-Snoopy can be found via resellers for roughly $250, which ain't half bad at all. The SKX013 is anywhere from $300 to $500, which is at least double of what it used to be, and it might be difficult to find one trying to navigate past the eBay price gougers trying to sell theirs for over $1,000, but it's doable. The SNE is trending closer to $350 to $400 depending on the color scheme. The faded gray bezel, aka the SNE569, is definitely the rarer and more expensive one. In terms of pure affordability, it's hard to beat the SRPK. After all, it has the lowest barrier of entry. But in terms of overall value proposition and value for money, it's hard not to go with SNE. You're getting Seiko Prospect ISO diver credentials, sapphire crystal, great size, and while yes, it is a solar movement, but it makes it an easy everyday grab and go. You don't have to worry about mechanical failures, and knowing how tough and reliable Seiko is, I bet their solar movements will last a decade. That's an easy point to the SNE. So we've ended in a tie between the SNE and the SKX. Instead of picking a personal favorite, I'm just going to use my pick as the final deciding factor between the SKX and the SNE. And just an FYI, if it was down to personal preference, I would totally go with the Snoopy. Not the regular SRPK, but the Snoopy. I just love it. But back to the topic. 2-2 tie between the SNE and the SKX, and the final point, making it the best Seiko 38mm diver, the Seiko SNE. Taking into account price, build quality, comfort, aesthetics, and durability, it's an all-rounder that could have easily taken this competition 5-0. It's a fantastic watch, and it's as close to the good old Seiko that we all love from back in the days. I know I'm going to be keeping mine. It's definitely a long-term piece for me. Now over to you. Which one of the three, the SKX013, the SRPK, whether it's the black or Snoopy, and the SNE, which one to you is the best 38mm Seiko diver? Or if you have a better Seiko 38mm diver that you think beats all three, drop it in the comments below. I'll see you next time.